Today's news highlights. Date June 17, 2025. News highlights: former President Chen Shui-bian recently sought medical treatment for days of bloody stool and had 8 polyps removed through a painless gastrointestinal endoscopy, and is now awaiting a pathology report. The doctor pointed out that the blood in the stool may not be caused by polyps, but may have another cause. Polyps are classified as hyperplastic and glandal, with the latter being associated with gastric cancer. Long-term use of proton pump inhibitors may lead to multiple polyps, some of which may disappear on their own when the drug is stopped. Modern gastroscopic technology can identify the shape of polyps, and if the structure is abnormal, there may be a risk of cancer, and further examination is still needed to clarify the cause. News highlights: Chen Yuqing, a health expert, said that people with high blood sugar can drink green latte, and the key is to choose materials and control the amount. It is recommended to have more vegetables than fruits, and using low GI vegetables such as bitter gourd and burdock can help stabilize blood sugar. Bitter gourd contains plant insulin, and burdock is rich in dietary fiber and inulin, both of which help control sugar and adjust intestinal bacteria. It can be paired with apples and pineapples to improve the taste. Juice should not be slag removed, and retaining fiber can delay sugar absorption and stabilize blood sugar. News highlights: Luo Shuiyu, an intern doctor in Hunan, China, fell to his death in 2023, and the official investigation called it suicide, but his family found more than 10,000 pages of reporting materials and audio recordings on the computer, revealing that the second Xianja hospital was suspected of being involved in illegal organ transplantation, including evidence of suspected live organ harvesting, and he was killed as a whistleblower. The family pointed out that there were many suspicious points at the scene, and the official investigation unit had an interest relationship with the hospital involved, and the credibility was questioned, which aroused the attention of Chinese online public opinion and called for an independent investigation of the truth. News highlights: Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu accused in an exclusive interview on the 15th that Iran had planned to assassinate former US President Trump because of his tough policy towards Iran, and had ordered the killing of senior Iranian official Soleimani. Netanyahu also claimed that he had been assassinated and stressed that Israel's Lion Rising operation in response to Iran's nuclear and missile threats was one of the largest military operations in history. He said that Israel was fully prepared to completely destroy the Iranian threat if necessary, and called on the Iranian people to recognize the essence of the regime. News highlights: the typhoon season is approaching, and Minister of the Interior Liu Shifang said on the 16th that 184 isolated island areas prone to disasters. Indiana 13 counties and cities have been inventoried. Disaster prevention and preparation such as evacuation, food, and road repair have been completed, and AI rescue platforms and decision-making assistance systems for indigenous tribes have been promoted. The government will strengthen tribal infrastructure such as solar energy and energy storage facilities, and promote disaster prevention kits and app information to enhance the resilience of the whole population, with the aim of reducing disaster risk through interministerial cooperation. News highlights: Morik, an associate professor at the Wharton School of the University of Pennsylvania, pointed out that organizations in the AI era should be redesigned to augment people with AI rather than simply replace them, so as to avoid weakening the momentum for innovation due to layoffs. He stressed that AI still has weaknesses and cannot surpass the top 2% of experts, and that professionals will be more valuable. There are 3 elements to promote an AI-first organization: leadership, labs, to productize AI applications, and mass engagement, and to build a corporate culture that encourages AI collaboration. The future of work will reduce tediousness, focus on creativity and personal style, and improve the productivity and competitiveness of human and AI collaboration. News highlights: there is a serious shortage of neurologists in China, which has led to difficulties in the evaluation of stroke thrombectomy, and Qi Changgung has even stopped admitting referred patients with no obvious effect. The Neurological Society appealed to the Ministry of Health and Welfare to subsidize neurology residents with a monthly allowance of 10,000 yuan to stabilize manpower. The Ministry of Health and Welfare said that it will review the subsidy policy on a rolling basis through the Healthy Taiwan Deep Cultivation Program, but due to the focus of the plan on AI and other technologies, the manpower problem in the acute and critical care department still needs to be solved. The Department of Infectious Diseases and the Department of Thoracic Medicine are also facing a similar shortage of manpower, and the medical benefits are insufficient and the work is heavy, so that young doctors are not willing to invest. The Health and Welfare Department emphasized the need to improve the workplace environment and diversified measures in order to effectively retain acute and critical care physicians. News highlights: the number of suicide deaths in Taiwan has returned to the 10th place in the top 10 causes of death after 14 years, with 4,062 suicide deaths in 113 years, an increase of 4.2% over last year, and the suicide rate of young adults aged 15 to 64 has increased, with only children and the elderly decreasing. The Department of Mental Health of the Ministry of Health and Welfare plans to strengthen psychological support for young adults, currently providing free psychological counseling for people aged 15 to 45, and expanding the discussion to 46 to 64 years old in the future. Various government departments, including the Ministry of Education, Labor, National Defense, and the Interior, have also actively promoted mental health work, and continued to strengthen psychological counseling and resource investment. News highlights: if you have ever suspected that you are unworthy of this title, it may be the imposter syndrome. When the author attended the Asian Dry Eye Medical Association in Jeju Island, he was sternly reminded by the host for his active speech, and the imposter had a seizure of syndrome and self-doubt on the spot. However, after the meeting, he interacted with the speakers and other professors and was affirmed, which allowed him to reaffirm himself. Imposter syndrome is a condition in which high achievers doubt their own abilities, often attribute success to luck and fear being exposed. In the face of this syndrome, it is recommended to calmly self-measure, collect feedback from multiple parties, discuss with trusted people, and cultivate self-affirmation, so as to overcome self-doubt and bravely show strength. News highlights: Goldman Sachs interviewed 3 economic experts and expressed concern about the U.S. debt crisis. Risky hedge fund Dalio pointed out that rising interest payments, government bond issuance exceeding market demand and the Fed's massive money printing would pose risks, and recommended reducing the budget deficit to 3% of GDP. Harvard professor Raghav predicts that the United States could fall into a debt crisis in 4 to 5 years, and soaring inflation or artificially low interest rates will affect the economy. Historian Alex Ferguson reminded him of Ferguson's law that the interest payment on U.S. bonds has exceeded the defense budget, which may endanger the U.S. global power position, and investors have gradually reduced their holdings of U.S. bonds, warning that the finances are unsustainable. News highlights: with the escalation of the Iran conflict driving risk aversion, UBS Securities is optimistic about gold, expecting the gold price target to be $3,500, and if the situation deteriorates or even challenges $3,800, it is recommended to lay out the dip. The US dollar has been downgraded due to deficit and debt problems, and it is recommended to reduce its size and shift to currencies such as the yen and the euro. In equities, despite heightened short-term volatility, long-term investors can take advantage of DIPs in high-quality stocks in the US, China, India, Taiwan and Europe. Government bonds and investment-grade bonds remain high-quality fixed-income targets. News highlights: IBM is actively developing quantum computers, and Micronix, 2337, is an important partner in the research and development of phase-change memory technology for more than 10 years, helping to solve the demand for large memory and high energy consumption for quantum computing. Micronix is not only the only partner manufacturer of IBM phase-change memory, but also promotes 300-layer NAND flash memory and enterprise-class SSD technology to lay out the next-generation high-speed computing and storage market. With its fast read/write speed, high endurance, and miniaturization, phase-change memory is regarded as a key memory technology in the future of mobile phones, computers, and AI industries. News highlights: driven by the global trend of sustainability, Taiwan's healthcare system has actively implemented ESG strategies and held the Healthcare Sustainability Model Empowerment course for the first time, inviting 5 award-winning hospitals to share their experience in carbon reduction operations, talent cultivation, and social welfare. As a high-energy consuming industry, hospitals are facing the challenge of net zero carbon emissions, and innovate sustainable solutions based on core values, and strengthen medical quality and social responsibility through cross-hospital cooperation and green transformation of the supply chain. This move not only enhances the competitiveness of medical care, but also lays the foundation for a healthy and sustainable future. News highlights: 2020 Tang Prize Laureate for Sustainable Development, Dr. Jane Goode, recently visited Taiwan for the 19th time to share her views on the climate crisis, animal conservation, and youth action. Emphasizing hope in action, she encourages education and everyday change so that everyone can be a part of making a difference in the world. Jane Goodall founded the Roots and Shoots Environmental Education Program, which engages young people in more than 75 countries around the world in conservation initiatives. She pointed out that technology can help conserve and damage the environment, and called on human beings to maintain empathy and responsibility. Jane Goodall proves from her own experience that change comes from everyone's actions and perseverance, and hopes that the younger generation will have the courage to ask questions and take action to protect the future of the planet. News highlights: Hungd Energy and Chilin Electric have been cooperating since 3 years ago to actively deploy in the field of smart power and electric vehicle charging, and at the 2025 Taiwan International Smart Mobility Exhibition, the Titan Charging Pile series covering 7 kW to 360 kW will be exhibited to meet the needs of multiple fields. The two companies jointly established New Star Charging and Shixing Electric Energy to focus on operations and equipment manufacturing respectively. Hungd also launched a one-stop charging service system to enhance the user experience. In addition to deepening the application of green energy in China, Hungd has also expanded overseas solar energy storage sites, continued to expand the scale of charging stations, and sought partners around the world to steadily meet the wave of energy transition. News highlights: Greenpeace calls on Taiwan to support the UN Nice Declaration, stressing that reducing plastic production and consumption is key to tackling plastic pollution in the oceans. The declaration, signed by more than 90 countries, promotes a global plastics pact that warns fossil fuel operators of unbridled plastic production. Greenpeace pointed out that Taiwan's approval of the expansion of PetroChina's new 4-light cracker plant last year is contrary to the plastic reduction target, and called on the government to re-examine the petrochemical policy and promote reuse to ensure that Taiwan is on the right path in the transition to plastic reduction and net zero. News highlights: after the number 2 unit of the number 3 nuclear power plant was decommissioned, Taiwan faced a power shortage, and the original plan was to make up for it with 4 large gas-fired units, but due to the delay in environmental impact assessment and trial operation, only some of the units were put into operation, and the standby coal-fired units were forced to be put into use. Natural gas supply bottlenecks are serious, and LNG terminals are overloaded, and there is a risk of failure, which aggravates the pressure on power supply. With the increase of renewable energy integration into the grid, the peak backup capacity of power consumption at night is insufficient, and the risk of power shortage increases. Experts called for a focus on nuclear power and natural gas reception capacity to avoid future power outages. News highlights: in response to the escalation of the military conflict between Israel and Iran, U.S. President Trump ended his G7 summit trip in Canada ahead of schedule and urgently returned to Washington to personally command the White House Situation Room. The National Security Council has prepared various contingency plans. The U.S. also sent the USS Nimitz aircraft carrier from the South China Sea to the Middle East, while more than 20 air tankers were on standby to launch a military operation under Trump's orders. News highlights: Wang Vinyang, president of Hung Gren Group, was revealed to have a woman in her 30s surnamed Liu giving birth to a child for him after the explosion of his adopted daughter. The news pointed out that Su Yaran, the former general manager of Sweet Potato Station, introduced young women to Wang with a remuneration of 100,000 yuan each time, playing the role of a mediator. Song Nu and Lu Nu both met Wang through Hui Yuyan, and the 2 daughters had also had sexual relations with Hui Yaoyan, forming a relationship of shared sexual partners. Su Yaran was the general manager of Kuo-ei Television, and Wang obtained the rights to operate the station in 2011, which was later renamed Sweet Potato Channel, and withdrew from investment in 2014, but the 2 sides still maintain close contact. News highlights: at the Honhai shareholders meeting last month, the founder, Terry Gou, made a temporary call to instruct him to abstain from voting on his 13% stake, expressing his disagreement with the list of current directors. Despite this, Chairman Liu Yanggui was still re-elected with a high vote. Since Guo handed over the baton in 2019, he has made it clear that he does not plan to return to the list of directors, and Liu Yanggui has also planned his own director lineup. This move was interpreted by the market as Terry Gou's can't go back, indicating that Liu Yanggui has firmly taken over the management of Honhai without Guo's support. News highlights: Israeli airstrikes on the office building of Iran's state-run television station IRIB in Tehran disrupted news broadcasts and reported casualties. A female anchor was lashing out at Israel when an explosion rang out and she left the scene. Israeli Defense Minister Kaz said he would eliminate Iran's propaganda machine and issued an evacuation warning for the zone. Iran's foreign ministry condemned the move as a war crime and vowed to hit Israel hard in response to the ongoing attacks. News highlights: Neza, the Demon Boy in the Sea, Neza 2, hit a box office of about 15.4 billion yuan in China, but the actual income of the film was only about 5.1 billion yuan, mainly due to the low proportion of box office accounts, and the theater made more than half of the profits. Wang Chongtian, CEO of distribution company Guangguang Media, criticized China's box office accounting system as unreasonable, and called for adjusting the distribution of profits to allow producers to gain more support. The global box office of the film is about 66.3 billion Taiwan dollars, ranking 5th in film history, but it is still difficult to surpass Titanic. News highlights: Wang Vinyang, president of Hung Gren Group, was involved in the turmoil of the adopted daughter's large birth, following the previous female college student surnamed Song, and now there is a woman in her 30s surnamed Liu who confessed to giving birth to a child for him, but only received 2 million yuan in compensation, and the treatment was very different. The 2 women were both led by Su Yaran, the former general manager of Sweet Potato Station, and were suspected of being involved in media sex trafficking. Liu Nu was advised to have an abortion when she was pregnant, but she chose to cut off contact with Wang after giving birth to a child and raise her son alone. Su has a close relationship with Wang Vinyang and even shares a sexual partner. News highlights: Lin Ziyukan recently shared the picture of Chen Ziwen helping at the construction site. The couple showed up for a long time, and frankly admitted that economic pressure is inevitable, and they are currently taking sporadic jobs to make a living. Chen Ziwen occasionally teaches softball and serves as a guest at the school, while Lin Ziyukan suspends live broadcasts and devotes herself to church services. The 2 emphasized that they just wanted to live a simple life and hoped that the outside world would look at it positively. The couple has been married for 20 years, and lives an ordinary but cherished life with their daughter's family of 3. News highlights: the 45-year-old Japanese actress Mai made an active comeback after resuming her single, and when she opened her bags on IG recently, she accidentally turned out the big head sticker with Luo's Hixiang 23 years ago, which made her exclaim that she didn't know why she was put in a wallet. Mai recalled that when she was in college, many Taiwanese artists went to Japan to find her, including Luo's Hixiong and Jeizhou. She sweetly praised the little pig people for being very good, and emphasized that each other was really fine, and hoped that the outside world would not make more associations. News highlights: after the curator, Chen Zhihan, ended his 6-day and 5-night trip to China, he was revealed by the four-pronged cat to earn more than $5 million in 5 days. The curator excitedly denied it in the live broadcast, and even vowed to be hit by a car when he went out if he made 5 million, and disclosed that the actual income was only about 1.7 million to 1.8 million yuan, deducting taxes and expenses. He criticized the rumors for having no cost, emphasizing that the trip was at his own expense, and although there was a high flow in records, he still hoped that the outside world would not misunderstand. News highlights: actor A Ben, Bai Jishan, was accidentally injured during filming recently, and he was rushed to the hospital with bloodstains all over his body. He shared the injury on Facebook, emphasizing that no one was to blame and thanking God for keeping his eyes and eyebrows safe. The crew arranged protective personnel and immediate medical treatment, and the doctors had good suturing skills and good recovery. Ben admits that his scars have darkened due to his love of playing and sun exposure, but he is optimistic that he is confident that he will recover after continuous care. News highlights: Wang Xiaofei recently joined the curator Chen Zhihan in a live broadcast to show a gentle image, attracting 430,000 views, and the image flip sparked discussions. Unexpectedly, it has recently gone viral on Weibo that he is suspected of being dissatisfied with the past black history of his current wife Ma Xiaomei, and he exploded in the group and scolded rudely, and his fierce rhetoric reproduced the hot image of the past. Ma Xiaomei said that she had not contacted her ex-husband for many years in response to the rumors, and stressed that everything would be handled by a lawyer. News highlights: singer Bai Lin was shortlisted for the Best Chinese Male Singer at the 36th Golden Melody Awards for the first time with the album Allow Everything to Break, and it was digitally released on June 13. On the 16th, he held a press conference at the Niahu outdoor rock climbing field, using rock climbing to symbolize the journey of striving to pursue his dreams. Bai Lin wore a suit to challenge rock climbing, showing his agility, and revealed that he had prepared 7 versions of his speech to welcome the ceremony. News highlights: Hat Queen Feng Fifei is about to celebrate her 72nd birthday, and although she has passed away, her contribution to the promotion of Taiwanese songs is still deeply rooted in the hearts of the people. From insisting on singing songs in his mother tongue during the martial law period, to cooperating with the cultural circle to launch the Want to Play the Same Tune series of albums, Feng Fifei uses her singing voice to protect Taiwanese culture. The Taiwanese concert originally scheduled for 2011 finally failed to materialize, which became a regret for fans. The Daowen city government recently held the Feng Fifei Golden Melody concert to recreate her musical spirit, and the seats were full to pay her deepest respect. News highlights: Yao Benjun, a teacher of Zaiwei Dushu, pointed out that in the second half of 2025, the zodiac chicken, rabbit, snake, and ox will be blessed by the general star and usher in a turnaround. With the help of the rooster and nobles, the workplace performance is outstanding. Those who belong to the rabbit should accept changes and develop Tibetan opportunities in other places. There are many trials in the workplace of snake people, but there is the support of nobles at critical moments, and the results can be expected. Those who belong to the ox are prosperous in investment and business, and can win in the turbulence and seize the opportunity of wealth. News highlights: after 2 months of preparation, it went to sea for the first time today, 17th, and is expected to return in the afternoon. The Ministry of Defense stressed that there is no timetable for testing, with safety at the forefront. The Navy said that the target of handing over ships by the end of the year remains unchanged. The follow-up submarines will be built in phases in the 2+3+2 mode, and the first 2 ships have been signed, but due to the freezing of the budget by the Legislative Yuan, the Heiken will not be able to start construction until it has passed the test and is reported. News highlights: the Taipei District Prosecutor's Office detected the case of the Kuomintang North City Party Department suspected of falsifying the recall, and 5 people, including Chairman Huang Lu Jinru, were prosecuted. The investigation pointed out that Huang Lu was worried that the re-signing would not go well, and instructed the cadres to mobilize mother-in-law volunteers to copy more than 5,000 copies of the roster in 2 days, and the CO signing information was full of errors, and even the names of the recall targets were also written incorrectly. The prosecution found that the 2 cases were 94% and 96% fraudulent respectively, and Huang Lu argued that the details of the execution had nothing to do with her, but the prosecution determined that she played a key role and the whole case was transferred for trial. News highlights: Dodgers Japanese superstar Sho Otani usually returned to throwing 2 shots after 663 days, and today he pitched 28 balls in the first game against the Padres at home, and conceded 1 point, and the fastest ball was 100.2 miles. Against Padres stars Tatis Jr., Arraez, and Machado, Otani dropped a burst of points, but the defensive assist and the final 3 outs held the position. He exited the pitch after the pitch and immediately came on as a hitter and was eventually struck out. Otani last pitched in August 2023 and has a 10-5 record and a 3.14 defense rate for the season. News highlights: the Facebook fan of the Kaohsiung Quoto store of the well-known southern fast food brand Dandan Burger was recently stolen by an Indian man, who not only changed the head sticker and cover photo, but also opened a live broadcast to stare at the camera silently, causing heated discussions and ridicule among netizens about the Indian branch. Fan also continued to share strange videos such as gold panning, popcorn making, etc., and the store said that the account is indeed owned by him, and it has been handed over to the store manager for processing. News highlights: American director G.E. Jingwen spent 8 years filming the documentary Invisible Country, focusing on former President Tsai Ing-wen, presenting Taiwan's democracy, gender equality, and cross-strait issues. The box office of the film exceeded 5 million yuan in the first week of its release in Taiwan, becoming a good documentary achievement in recent years. The director came to Taiwan to attend the post-screening discussion and moved the audience, and the clips in the film resonated. The Oath of Woman badge launched by the film company triggered a rush of buying, and the price soared above 3,000 yuan on the auction platform, and the topic continued to rise. News highlights: People's Party Chairman Huang Qiuqing played a synthetic audio file of suspected prosecutor interrogation during questioning in the Legislative Yuan, which attracted attention. Kei Wen's wife, Peggy Chan, later posted an article criticizing the brutal methods of prosecution and interrogation, and reiterated privacy issues such as whether anyone else slept in the master bed. She criticized the Beijing People's Procurator's continued detention of Kei Wen's in the name of litigation economy, which is a human rights violation, and called for the court and the interrogation process to be open throughout the process to clear the suspicion of improper interrogation. News highlights: Higuchi Rice Ball, a popular breakfast restaurant in Kaohsiung, decided to move out of Qinghai Road at the end of July due to a lease dispute with its landlady. A few days ago, the two sides clashed again, and the help cry was heard in the middle of the night, and the police came to the scene to mediate, and the two sides complained to each other. The store will be moved to Qiwa Road and Zoying MRT station, and the new landlord and proprietress are alumni of the same class as Xiongzhong Xiangnu, and the new store is expected to open in July and August. News highlights: the Taiwan Public Opinion Foundation released the latest poll for June today, showing that President Lai Ching-te has been recognized by more than half of the public in 3 leadership attributes, including decisive leadership, honesty and integrity, and concern for the needs of the people. Among them, the support rate for acting decisively reached 55%, honesty and integrity was 52%, and caring for the people was also nearly 50%. In addition, nearly half of the public agreed with the way it handled national affairs, and its popularity rebounded to 48.7%, a new high in a year. News highlights: the Kuomintang launched the case of the recall of DPP legislator Wu Saiyao, and 94.18% of the signatures were found to be forged in Taipei, and only 165 were true, and on the 16th, 5 people, including Huang Lu Jinru, chairman of the party department of Baishi City, and Lai Yiren, the convener, were prosecuted for the crime of forging documents. Lai Yiren immediately issued an article crying out for injustice, criticizing the prosecution for having no evidence and only relying on unknown volunteers to allege, and even pointed out that the investigation process was interfered with by mysterious forces, questioning the interference of political forces in the judiciary, and stating that he would defend to the end in court. News highlights: internet celebrity curator Chen Zaihan recently traveled to China, praised the local development, and criticized Taiwan's public security, causing controversy. This behavior brought him a lot of traffic and income, and earned 5 million. However, the numerologist sweater teacher reminded that the curator's behavior is abnormal this year, and from the second half of the year, he will be riddled with villains, and he is afraid of being set up by fake nobles, and he is more likely to overturn next year, calling on him to be vigilant. News highlights: when People's Party legislator Huang Qiuqing questioned Justice Minister Zhang Mingjian in the Legislative Yuan on the 16th, he played the Jinghua City case investigation audio file demonstration tape, which caused Zhang to question its authenticity and doubt whether it was generated by AI. Lawyer Lin Heekan bitterly criticized Huang Qiuqing for no bottom line, and compared the incident with the Foottail Rice incident in 2005, pointing out that both involved the suspicion of indicating fraud, but Huang not only did not apologize afterwards, but started a live broadcast to mock him, which attracted strong criticism from netizens for his bad behavior and no lower limit. News highlights: during the 114 National High School entrance examination, a female student vomited blood during the examination and was sent to the hospital, and it was not appropriate to return to the examination room after diagnosis. However, she insisted on fulfilling the agreement with her deceased mother to be admitted to Zhongshan Girls High School, and the school repeatedly begged the hospital for assistance. Finally, the hospital will issue a medical certificate and coordinate with the big examination center to allow students to take the examination in the hospital. Despite the repeated bleeding from his condition, he was able to complete the exam without any problems, which was very moving. News highlights: Zhou Ziyu, a member of the Taiwanese girl group Twice, recently celebrated her 26th birthday, and shared private photos on IG one after another, attracting more than 1.52 million likes. The picture of her driving a go-kart in the night market a few days ago was exposed by her best friend and singer Zhuang Dingzhen, which aroused enthusiastic responses from fans. Zhou Ziyou was restricted from coming to Taiwan in 2016 due to the national flag turmoil, and now the ban has finally been lifted, and twice will hold her first Group Taiwan concert in Kaohsiung on November 22, which is also her first time to return to Taiwan to perform, realizing her wish of returning home. News highlights the Kuomintang announced on the 16th that it would file a lawsuit against the recall group, accusing it of spreading false remarks on social platforms and violating the election and recall law, and will continue to collect evidence and file a lawsuit. DPP legislator Lin Chuiyan bitterly criticized the KMT as shameful, ridiculous, and hateful, and criticized it for not apologizing but suing citizens for supervision, and for its pro-China behavior, blocking the national security bill, cutting the national security budget indiscriminately, and only engaging in political struggle. Emphasizing the KMT's abuse of judicial suppression of the recall and its fear of confronting public opinion, Lin described its actions as unacceptable. News highlights as the conflict between Israel and Iran heats up, the two sides exchange missiles and civilians suffer the most. Zhang Qingchuan, a Taiwanese pastor in Jerusalem, shared that in the past, there was almost no threat of missiles in the capital, but recently there were frequent air raid sirens and witnessed the smoke and explosions of interceptor missiles from the Iron Dome defense system. The government ordered a ban on gatherings, a suspension of classes, a grounding of flights, and a virtual shutdown of life. Pastor Chong interacted with believers through Facebook and prayed for peace, thanking Israel for successfully destroying Iran's ballistic missile system, and praying for God to continue to protect the safety of Israel and its people. News highlights according to the 2025 World Competitiveness Annual Report of the Institute of Management, IMD, in Lausanne, Taiwan, ranked 6th out of 69 countries and ranked first among economies with a population of more than 20 million for 5 consecutive years. Taiwan ranked 10th, 8th, 4th, and 10th in the world in terms of economic performance, efficiency of the Taiwan authorities, efficiency of enterprises and infrastructure construction, with the most improvement in economic performance, jumping to 10th. In particular, high-tech sectors such as semiconductors and AI have promoted export growth, ranking second in the world in the Economic Complexity Index, demonstrating a diversified and resilient economic structure. Both government and enterprise performance are excellent, and the infrastructure is stable. The National Development Council stressed that it will continue to optimize policies and enhance international competitiveness. News highlights a mother-daughter assault incident occurred yesterday in the Snow Mountain Tunnel on National Highway 5. A 26-year-old woman surnamed CAI and her mother had an argument over the music playing in the car, and the two sides threw mobile phones at each other to detonate a physical altercation. CAI's mother drove the car away, leaving her daughter in the tunnel, while CAI's daughter picked up her mobile phone along the way. After receiving the report, the police came to the scene to deal with it. CAI's daughter wanted to apply for a protection order. The police made a notification in accordance with the domestic violence regulations, and the father took it back. CAI's mother was also notified to the case to explain, and the case is under investigation. News highlights artist Wang Delu is suspected of spending 3.6 million yuan to help evade military service through Chen Haiming's illegal group, and the new Taipei Procuratorate prosecuted Wang Delu and 23 military men and 4 intermediaries after investigation. Zhang Juren, the founder of the well-known online tutoring platform Super Detailed Explanation, was also involved in the case, and used a fake diagnosis certificate to apply for a postural review, and voluntarily surrendered after the incident. The prosecution found no illegal medical institutions, and the investigation of the case has been concluded. News highlights after the former brother Chen Zaiwen transformed into an artist, his investment in the Hong Kong-style tea drinking business ended briefly last year, and his wife Lin Ziyukan revealed that the two are now focusing on church service, although the income is meager, but the soul is comforted. Chen Zaiwen still occasionally does sporadic work, and has been photographed working on the construction site to attract attention. The couple admitted that they had been criticized for quitting the tea drinking business, but they chose not to explain much and hoped for more encouragement from the outside world. At present, the family rents Zizi and encourages their daughter to save money, hoping to have a goal of living in her own house in the future. Chen Zaiwen works hard to give his family a better life. News highlights due to the diversification of goods and the density of stores, the supermarket chain has become the first choice for many people to purchase. Although some netizens reported that the price of Chuanlian is gradually rising, and cheapness is no longer an advantage, there are still many people who support it, mainly because Chuanlian has a complete range of products, convenient shopping, and many stores, almost one in a mile. Some netizens believe that some of Chuanlian's meat products and promotional activities still have price advantages, and are even more cost-effective than the market, making it still competitive and difficult to replace other supermarkets. News highlights many people who eat a lot of vegetables still can't improve their constipation, so Dr. Xiao Zhijian recommends drinking water while eating, and avoiding a high-fiber diet that ignores water intake. He pointed out that big data in the United States in 2025 shows that adequate total water intake, including water from food and beverages, can significantly reduce the risk of constipation. Italian studies have also confirmed that a high-fiber diet with 1.5 to 2 liters of water per day can help soften stools and improve intestinal peristalsis. Xiaojijian emphasized that drinking water should be divided into small sips, drinking 300 cubic centimeters of warm water in the morning to wake up the stomach and intestines, replenishing water evenly during the day, and reducing water consumption at night to avoid the impact of going to the toilet at night to affect sleep. News highlights: after U.S. President Donald Trump announced reciprocal tariffs, global market volatility intensified, and Taiwan's manufacturing industry was the most affected. The Ministry of Labor announced on the 16th that the number of people taking shifts and resting reached 2,895, of which 38 businesses and 1,189 people were clearly affected by the U.S. tariffs, mainly concentrated in the metal, electromechanical and mechanical equipment manufacturing industry. As high as 87% of the total number of people in the manufacturing industry has reduced work and rest. Local governments are continuing to monitor the operation of enterprises and assess the long-term impact of tariffs on the industry. News highlights: in the first half of 2025, the Tourism Department of the Ministry of Transport ordered 5 travel agencies, including Forget Worries, Shengyuan, Dayang, Xiangzhan, and Fukang, to suspend business, mostly due to financial difficulties, ticket refunds, and non-payment of refunds to tourists. Forget the Worries Grass was unable to perform due to debt disputes. Shengyuan and Fukang repeatedly refunded the bills. Dayang owed air tickets and hotel expenses to the passengers themselves, and Xiangzhan also owed refunds. This situation affects the rights and interests of consumers, and tourists are reminded to be cautious when choosing travel agencies. News highlights: a 60-year-old woman in Taichung City suffered long-term anal bleeding mistaken for hemorrhoids and delayed seeking medical attention, and was diagnosed with rectal cancer and metastasized to the liver after being clarified by the hospital. Colonoscopy revealed a tumor about 7 centimeters in the upper rectum, and abdominal tomography confirmed multiple metastatic tumors in the liver. The medical team immediately surgically removed the diseased tissue, and was treated with anti-epidermal growth factor target drugs combined with chemotherapy after surgery, and the patient's condition is stable and continues to be followed. News highlights: modern people pursue health and often improve their immunity through diet control, exercise, and supplemental health supplements, but physician Xiaojijian warns that if you do it in the wrong way, it will weaken your defenses. Extreme sugar reduction and low-carb diet will make immune cells lack energy, so it is recommended to choose high-quality carbohydrates such as sweet potato, brown rice, etc. Excessive high-intensity exercise can easily trigger the immune window effect and increase the risk of infection, so the frequency and intensity of exercise should be controlled. Excessive intake of health supplements may also lead to immune disorders, so it is advisable to maintain a daily intake of 600 to 800 IU of vitamin D, preferably with moderate sun exposure. In terms of sleep, adults should maintain sleep for 7 to 9 hours to avoid immune dysfunction caused by lack or too much sleep. News highlights: a 21-year-old young man surnamed Huang in Taichung has been under house arrest by his father for more than 10 years since he was a child, and he has hardly left the house or studied. In February this year, he was kicked out of his home after an argument with his father and had to make ends meet by picking up recyclables. The mayor of Baitun district paid attention to it after discovering it, and was originally scheduled to hold his first birthday party for him on the 17th, but it was cancelled due to media and volunteer disputes. Huang Nan's intellectual stay in the school-age stage, no household registration and educational background. His father said that he did not know how to take care of him and was worried about the outside world, so he restricted him from going out. The police investigation has found no abuse, and the Social Affairs Bureau will continue to follow up and will handle household registration in accordance with the law. News highlights: many people mistakenly think that staple foods such as steamed buns will gain weight when losing fat, or even quit, but as a result, they are hungrier and more likely to eat snacks. Dietitian Fang Fang shared the experience of a 45-year-old sister who successfully prolonged satiety and avoided overeating dinner by choosing whole wheat steamed buns correctly with protein and vegetables, eating a fist-sized steamed bun for breakfast and lunch, and replacing it with pumpkin or corn for dinner. After dinner, she took a 40-minute walk to promote metabolism, and with dietary adjustments, she was no longer afraid of steamed buns, gradually lost weight, and became better in spirit. Fat loss doesn't have to be abstained from staple foods, the focus is on timing and mixing. News highlights: 43-year-old actress Fan Bingbing recently shared a photo with her parents on International Father's Day and wished all Happy Father's Day. In the photo, the three are close and intimate. Although Fan's father is 70 years old, he has a good complexion and is full of energy, similar to Fan Bingbing's appearance and temperament, just like a middle-aged version of Fan Bingbing. The Superman pattern on the cake in the photo symbolizes that his father is a family hero, showing Fan Bingbing's filial piety to his father. The post sparked heated discussions among netizens, who praised the strong genes of the Fan family, and left messages praising genes are too rebellious, Daddy Bing is so young, etc. News highlights: the U.S. military has stepped up its deployment in the Middle East in response to the ongoing conflict between Israel and Iran. 2 U.S. officials revealed that more than 31 Air Force tanker planes took off from the United States on the 15th and have now arrived in Germany, Britain, Estonia, Greece, and other places, indicating that the United States is preparing to upgrade its strategy. Shipping tracking shows that the aircraft carrier Nimitz left the South China Sea on the 16th, cancelled Vietnamese port activities, and transferred to the Middle East, carrying 5,000 personnel and more than 60 aircraft. The U.S. Pacific Fleet said the Nimitz had previously completed a routine patrol and was now significantly redeployed. The U.S. side is still cautious about the situation and only assists Israel in intercepting missiles. News highlights at about 8 o'clock this morning, an abnormal door safety loop occurred on the south line of Beijing, causing a train to stop at Zhongxiao Xinchen Station, and about 1,100 passengers were asked to transfer to subsequent trains. Due to the rush of going to work and school, the platform of Zhongxiao Xinchen Station and other transfer stations were crowded with people, and some people had no choice but to swipe their mobile phones to wait. Beijing said that the incident was handled in accordance with the SOP for about 10 minutes, and the shift distance has been adjusted and the broadcast and personnel guidance have been strengthened, and the abnormal cause will be further inspected by the sending factory. News highlights today, 17th, Taiwan's atmosphere is unstable, the southwest wind brings abundant moisture, and there has been scattered rain since last night. Affected by thermal convection in the afternoon, there is a chance of heavy rainfall in Taiwan, especially in Greater Taipei and mountainous areas, accompanied by lightning strikes and strong gusts of wind, reminding the public to bring rain gear and pay attention to safety. Meteorological experts pointed out that today is the most vigorous day of thunderstorms in the recent afternoon, and the Pacific high pressure has strengthened since Wednesday, and the weather has stabilized, officially entering summer. News highlights 58-year-old Hong Kong star Huang Fengcheng immigrated to Toronto, Canada 10 years ago, and changed careers to become a confinement lady after a divorce. She used to be the queen grandmother of TVB, and starred in hundreds of TV series and Stephen Chow movies, but in the early days, she mostly played the role of a maid or a fengjiao place. After immigrating to the early stage of immigration, she did not work for 3 years, and then obtained a confinement nanny license, and worked in this position for 6 or 7 years, taking care of more than 40 babies. Huang Fengcheng said that the confinement lady made her feel happy and free, and occasionally received photos of children's life shared by guests, which made her work full of fulfillment. News highlights Taiwan's #1 supermodel Lin Chiliang married Japanese actor Akira and had a son, and the family is happy. 3-year-old dad Akira recently shared a rare photo with his son on Father's Day, thanking his family for their support and paying tribute to all fathers. In the photo, Akira is having fun with his son, who is sitting in a toy jeep, and the father and son are smiling, attracting more than 40,000 likes and enthusiastic comments. Akira recently came to Taiwan with the group Exile for a meeting, although he did not accompany his son to participate in the singing conference, but he was also relieved to see the video, and revealed that he hoped that his son could become the lead singer in the future, encouraging him to follow his own interests. News highlights the owner of the car surnamed Tsai in Taichung was fined by the police within 4.5 hours for violating the red line of Taiwan Avenue for his car to stop late at night. The judge's investigation found that the vehicle was not only parked on the red line, but also parked within 10 meters of the corner of the intersection, obstructing traffic safety, and illegally parking for more than 2 hours. Violations of parking persist, and repeated penalties do not violate the principle of non bis in one thing. The court ruled against Cai Nan and he had to pay a fine of 900 yuan, which he could appeal. News highlights nephrologist Hong Yongxiang reminded that drinking too much or too little water may hurt the kidneys, and sorted out the top 10 wrong drinking behaviors. The first is drinking too little water from a young age and unconsciously. Drinking less than 1000 c.c. a day is easy to cause kidney aging and a variety of chronic diseases. The second is drinking too much water, which will lead to glomerulosclerosis in the long term. The third is that people who need to limit water drink a lot of water, which may cause pulmonary edema and be life-threatening. Other mistakes include superstition about alkaline water, waking up late to drink water, skipping water for fear of frequent urination, forgetting to drink water in cold or air-conditioned rooms, drinking plenty of water before bedtime, replacing water with soup or drink, and flooding after exercise. It is recommended to drink water at least 8 times during the day, and pay attention to electrolyte balance when rehydrating to avoid harming kidney health. News highlights TSMC ADR surged 2.17% on Monday to close at $215.68, with Asian foreign investors giving TSMC and 8 other Taiwanese manufacturers an outperform rating. TSMC's stock price was once discounted after the ex-dividend, and it stopped falling and rebounded on the 17th, starting an interest-filling trend. Foreign investors estimate that TSMC's monthly production capacity of 2nm process can reach 30,000 to 40,000 pieces by the end of the year, and increase to 50,000 to 60,000 pieces by 2026, with major customers including Apple and Huawei. The U.S. Senate tax reform bill plans to increase the semiconductor investment tax credit from 25% to 30% to encourage the industry to accelerate the establishment of factories in the United States. TSMC is one of the main beneficiaries, and cooperate with Biden's CHIPS and Science Law to promote the return of semiconductors to the United States. News highlights QNY Taiwan Select High Dividend ETF, 00919, has become the fourth Taiwanese stock ETF with a scale of more than 400 billion yuan, with the largest trading volume in Taiwan on the 16th, and it has reached this scale in only 971 days since its establishment, with the fastest growth. Since its listing in October 2022, 00919 has undergone 9 interest distributions, with an annualized dividend rate of more than 10% and an interest-bearing cumulative return of 86.64%. Fund manager Xia Mingzi said that the recent shock of Taiwan stocks is a good time to save stocks, and it is recommended that investors take advantage of the dip and set a fixed amount on a regular basis, so as to reduce the holding cost and grasp the advantages of long-term investment. News highlights: CNN reported that Iran launched a new wave of missile attacks on Israel in the early morning of the 17th, and Israeli air defense systems actively intercepted them, and called on people in Tel Aviv and central China to evacuate to shelters. U.S. President Donald Trump, who was attending the G7 summit in Canada at the time, announced that he would return to the United States early and instructed the National Security Council Situation Room to stand by. Secretary of State Rubio is also returning to the United States to deal with the situation. A few days ago, Israel airstrikes Iranian state-run media IRIB, suspected of killing an employee, and Iran immediately warned Israel to evacuate the headquarters of 2 television stations, and tensions heated up. News highlights: when the Taipei Metropolitan Passenger No. 262 electric bus was driving on Dunhua North Road on the evening of the 16th, the dashboard showed that the battery was abnormal, and the driver immediately pulled over to evacuate 7 passengers. The fire was fierce, and the fire was reduced after the police extinguished the fire, and the body of the bus was seriously damaged, and the nearby street lamps and bicycles were also damaged. The Taipei City Public Transport Department has asked Metropolitan Passenger Transport to stop dispatching the same batch of 20 electric buses, and will conduct a comprehensive inspection of the condition of the vehicles, and will investigate the cause of the explosion and fire. News highlights: Israel bombed the live broadcast of Iranian state television on the 16th, when the anchor was impassionedly criticizing Israel, when the sudden explosion shook the studio violently, dust and debris scattered, and the anchor was forced to interrupt the broadcast and fled in a hurry. The media building was hit by 4 bombs, and the Israeli military admitted the attack, saying the target was an Iranian propaganda and incitement agency. Iran's foreign ministry denounced the move as an evil war crime, and the International Association for the Protection of Journalists condemned the Israeli army's attack on the media as shocking, and the incident drew international attention. News highlights: Major League Baseball Dodger star Shohei Ohtani's former translator Kazuhara Kazuhara was sentenced to 4 years and 9 months in prison for stealing Ohtani's property and illegal gambling, and today, 17th, he was officially sentenced to prison. In March last year, Suwon was involved in a gambling scandal, and the investigation found that he had misappropriated Ohtani's funds to pay off gambling debts. Originally scheduled to be imprisoned in March, he was granted 2 extensions and was eventually reported to the Pennsylvania federal jail, reportedly to prevent West Coast fans from gathering and protect their safety. Coincidentally, Ohtani made a comeback at home against the Padres today, and after 663 days, he wore a pitcher outfit again, and netizens hotly discussed the fate of the two on the same day. News highlights: at 8:03 a.m. today, 17th, an abnormal door safety loop occurred in the train from Shandai station on the south line of Beijiban to Nangang Exhibition Hall, resulting in a long queue of passengers at Zhongxiao Xinshen station. About 1,100 passengers were asked to change to a subsequent train, with a delay of about 15 minutes. According to the SOP, the Beijing Traffic Control Center quickly adjusted the spacing and dispatched trains, and strengthened the broadcasting and personnel guidance, and the cause of the abnormality is still to be sent back to the engine factory for further inspection. The incident occurred during the rush hour at work, causing inconvenience to some passengers, and Beijing has actively dealt with it and asked for the forgiveness of passengers. News highlights: the Anti-Communist Volunteer Alliance for the Protection of the Country today, 17th, went to the Central Party Department of the Kuomintang to officially submit an invitation to open debate to the Blue Camp, in which UMC founder Cao Xingcheng and legislator Shen Boyang represented the party in favor of the recall, and invited the Kuomintang to oppose the recall on behalf of Zhu Lailun, Fu Kunking, and others, and held a fair and open debate on the 31 Blue Camp. Legislators facing recall. Cao stressed that reunification needed to be referendum and criticized the KMT for discrediting its position. The KMT responded with music and slogans, saying that Cao supported the reunification referendum. Cao said that the recall team has a full lineup of lawyers, will respond to the complaint, and is willing to bear all costs. News highlights: Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu intends to drag down the Tehran regime through economic turmoil, but former British MI6 chief Sauls warned that foreign aggression will strengthen the Iranian regime, and the fall of Khomeini may lead to military power or national division, which may exacerbate nationalist chaos. The Guardian commentator Tisher believes that the crisis could have been avoided, and that Israel's continued airstrikes could have spurred Iran to accelerate its nuclear development, and that the 3 elderly leaders, Netanyahu, Khomeini, and Trump, pushed each other to exacerbate the situation. The outside world is worried that Iran's blockade of the Strait of Hormuz will trigger a rise in oil prices and global economic turmoil, and it is recommended that countries reduce their dependence on the United States and take an independent diplomatic route. News highlights on the 16th, silicon photonics concept stocks such as Lianjun, 3450, led the rise and became the focus of the market. In response to the soaring AI computing power, silicon photonics technology provides data transmission solutions with higher speed, lower latency, and lower power consumption than traditional optical fibers. NVIDIA unveiled Spectrum X Photonics and Quantum X Photonics, two silicon photonic network switches at GTC, enabling high-speed connections to millions of GPUs and driving AI training efficiency. It is expected that the silicon photonics market will maintain double-digit compound growth until 2030, and related Taiwan factories have development potential, becoming a new hotspot for AI and semiconductor investment. News highlights Alvin Wang Grailin, former general manager of VR in China, left HTC to start his own business, promoting the use of AI and XR to build a prosperous society in the post-scarcity era. He criticized the United States for treating AI as a zero-sum race, misjudging China's scientific and technological strength, and calling for international cooperation to promote the safe development of AI. Wang Kongqing supports the CERN for AI project, believing that Taiwan has advantages. Its entrepreneurial goal is to create personalized AI mentors, promote education popularization and personal development, and look forward to a better future society brought by AI. News highlights according to the IMD World Competitiveness Report 2025, Taiwan ranked 6th out of 69 countries and ranked first among economies with a population of more than 20 million for 5 consecutive years. Taiwan ranks 10th, 8th, 4th, and 10th in the world in the 4 major indicators of economic performance: the effectiveness of the Taiwan authorities, the effectiveness of enterprises and infrastructure construction, among which the economic performance has improved the most, especially the Economic Complexity Index ranks 2nd in the world. Government effectiveness leads the world in democratic governance, and business effectiveness and productivity are outstanding. The National Development Council stressed that it will continue to enhance Taiwan's economic resilience, respond to global challenges, and steadily promote international competitiveness. News highlights Peter Chen, a well-known Taiwanese singer and songwriter, passed away peacefully in Chengdu on the morning of June 14 at the age of 82. Peter Chen, who used the stage name Xia Yunfei, debuted in 1971 and wrote many classic songs such as Happy Years, Yi Jian Miai and Alibaba, and is known as the godfather of Taiwan's music scene. In his later years, he deeply cultivated the mainland, and still sang My Motherland and Me in Chengdu during the Spring Festival in 2019. The Sun recently released an obituary, describing him as the eternal dreamer of the Chinese music scene, and hoped that his father would follow the song safely. News highlights according to the latest statistics from the Ministry of Labor, Hsinchu City will have the highest average monthly salary in Taiwan at the end of 2024, with an average salary of 73,159 yuan and a 3-year growth rate of 12.4%, followed by Hsinchu County and Taipei City. The lowest salary is in Zhonghua County, with an average of only 35,177 yuan, about half of Hsinchu City, which makes the local people lament that the salary has not improved for many years. Other low-wage counties and cities include Taitung and Pingtung, with an average of about 35,000 yuan. The wage gap of the new system reflects the differences between regional economy and industrial development, and arouses social attention and discussion on wage equity. News highlights an earthquake with a magnitude of 6.4 occurred in the waters east of Taiwan on the evening of the 11th, and numerologist Gao Fujin warned that this may be a precursor to changes in the South China Sea trough, reminding Taiwan to pay attention to the risk of a large tsunami caused by a nuclear-scale explosion in July and mid to late September. He pointed out that July 12 and 28 and September 10 and 26 were dangerous times, and called on relevant officials such as Kei Wenz, Zhang Shanzheng, and Lin Jialong to pay attention to health and official safety. In addition, Gao Fujin also warned of the possibility of military clashes or large-scale explosions in the South China Sea and the Bass Strait, accompanied by the risk of disasters such as tsunamis and landslides. News highlights the Ministry of Health and Welfare announced the top 10 causes of cancer death in 113 years, and colorectal cancer ranked third for 21 consecutive years, known as the King of Cancer. Zhang Shishang, Director of Colorectal Surgery at Cathay Pacific Hospital, pointed out that colorectal cancer has no obvious symptoms in the early stage, and symptoms such as abdominal distension, abnormal bowel movements, blood in the stool, and weight loss may occur in the later stage, and in severe cases, intestinal obstruction or peritonitis may occur. Lifestyle habits such as a diet high in meat fat, lack of fiber, family history, and chronic bowel disease are all risk factors. It is recommended that high-risk individuals have regular colonoscopy, eat more fruits and vegetables, eat less meat, and maintain exercise habits to prevent colorectal cancer. News highlights according to the latest poll by the Taiwan Public Opinion Foundation, 36% of the KMT's regional legislators initiated by KG Unming of the Democratic Progressive Party, DPP, were in favor and 58% were disapproving, and the number of opponents increased by nearly 700,000 from the previous month, showing that the anti-recall camp was dominant. If voted tomorrow, 39.3% agree with the recall and 48.9% disagree. Among the age groups, 50% of the age groups over 65 years old support the recall, and the rest of the age groups oppose it. About 46% of the voters will definitely vote, which shows that the support for the recall has declined. The anti-recall force has gradually strengthened, and the follow-up development has attracted much attention. News highlights: despite the escalating conflict between Israel and Iran and the Federal Reserve's policy meeting this week, the spot price of gold retreated 1.2% to $3,392.86 an ounce on the 16th after hitting an 8-week high, mainly due to investors taking profits. The market expects the Fed to keep interest rates unchanged, and the probability of interest rate cuts is low considering economic uncertainty and geopolitical tensions. Silver held steady, while platinum and palladium rose 2% and 0.8%, respectively. The Israeli Prime Minister stressed that victory was in sight, and Iran called on the United States to promote a ceasefire, and the situation remained tense. News highlights: according to the latest poll conducted by the Taiwan Public Opinion Foundation, President Lai Ching-te's approval rate for handling major national affairs is 48.7%, and the disapproval rate is 45.7%. The cabinet of the Executive Yuan, Zhou Rongta, was 44.4% satisfied and 46.1% dissatisfied, and the majority were still dissatisfied, and it has been on red alert for 3 consecutive months. The analysis pointed out that although Lai Ching's prestige has rebounded, new public discontent is rising, and the Zhou cabinet is facing a dilemma in governance, and the future political trend is worth paying attention to. News highlights: Yao Benjun, a teacher of Ziwei Dushu, pointed out that in the second half of 2025, Zhang Xing will take special care of the 4 zodiac signs of the Chinese zodiac: chicken, rabbit, snake, and ox. Those who belong to the rooster will receive the attention of nobles, usher in promotion opportunities, and be able to resolve personnel risks. Those who belong to the rabbit are suitable for change, and there are nobles to help them cross regions or change jobs, and challenge the opportunities in Tibet. Snake people have strong workplace protection, and although they have encountered twists and turns, they are expected to deliver good results at the end of the year. Ox people are suitable for business investment, can keep their finances and explore profit points, and expand their careers steadily. News highlights: Wang Vinyang, president of Hung Gren Group, was involved in the controversy of Bao Yangsheng, following the birth of a woman surnamed Song. It was rumored that the wife surnamed Lu had a son, and only received a subsidy of 2 million yuan, compared with the 40 million yuan treatment of Song girl, which caused dissatisfaction and came forward to complain. Wang Vinyang issued a statement through his lawyer on the 17th, emphasizing that Lu Nu's statement was untrue in many places, and she did not know about the relationship between her and Su Yiren, and said that the incident was personal privacy and had nothing to do with social welfare. News highlights: US President Trump left the G7 summit in Canada early on the 16th and returned to the United States to deal with the issue of escalating tensions in the Middle East. The White House said Trump has asked the National Security Council to be put on standby and is prepared to have relevant intelligence in real time in the Situation Room. As a result, Trump cancelled many talks with the Australian Prime Minister and other meetings, which caused concern. Recent tensions in the Middle East have focused on Iranian and Israeli military developments. Trump stressed that the U.S. position on preventing Iran from developing nuclear weapons has not changed, and the White House has not yet said whether it will hold a national security meeting after returning to the United States. News highlights: YouTuber Lin Jialing, was recently accused by netizens of using unauthorized music in the video, and she responded in surprise and apologized, saying that the content involved was produced by a former outsourced editor, and the company has always banned the use of copyrighted music. Jiang clarified that the undelete message may be caused by YouTube restrictions, and called on the copyright owner to contact in a private message. Subsequently, she has successfully contacted the other party, and the two sides have reached a cooperation consensus that they will legally use each other's music and support their creation in the future. News highlights: tear-jerking singer Zhang Ruofen and her 3-year-old boyfriend Wang Yuheng have a stable relationship, and they were hit by a sweet date again a few days ago. The man intimately held a small umbrella to protect his girlfriend from getting wet, and the two walked all the way, hugged, patted their buttocks, and showed their strong love. After the end of the romantic trip, he also went to KTV with his friends to sing until the early hours of the morning, and the relationship continued to heat up. Wang Yuheng is an actor and cafe owner, with the right appearance. The two have loved each other sweetly since last year, and their interaction has naturally been recognized by the man's parents. News highlights: Lee Hong-ki, the lead singer of the Korean group Ftisland, admitted in the show that he has been battling the rare disease hidradenitis suppurativa for nearly 20 years, during which he has undergone more than 8 surgeries. The disease is more common in the armpits and buttocks, and the severe pain of repeated purulence seriously affects the quality of life. Lee Hong-ki recalled that when he was a student, his uniform was soaked due to a burst tumor and he was forced to leave school early. He revealed that his illness was a long-term psychological burden, and he didn't even dare to go to the bathhouse. Doctors suggested that improving diet, quitting alcohol and smoking can reduce the frequency of attacks, and Lee Hungji also showed a positive attitude towards life, starting with a change in daily habits. News highlights: the American popular group One Republic will come to Taiwan for the 4th time at the end of this year, and will create a special performance specially for Kaohsiung, showing the importance of Taiwanese fans. The organizer has recently announced in the community that the finale of the year-end Big Coffee will sing, hinting at this performance. The masterpiece I Ain't Worried was an episode of Defender, the Lone Ranger, which has reached 3 billion listens worldwide. The Republican generation has a deep relationship with Kaohsiung, and last year it set a record of attacking eggs from north to south in 1 year, and fans are eagerly looking forward to seeing each other again. News highlights: Luo's Hixiong's self-created trendy brand Got No Fears recently relocated and reopened, and the opening of the new store on June 7 attracted more than 50 fans to line up in the rain to support it. He personally appeared at the reception and took a group photo, showing the spirit of pet fans. Zaizu said that the main reason for moving the store is to save rent, but the brand operation will continue. Since its inception in 2019, the brand has entered Harajuku, Japan, and achieved great results. On the opening day of the new store, the alleys of the East District reproduced the grand scene of fans queuing up. News highlights: after the American Institute in Taiwan, 8, called for the preparation of emergency shelter kits, the Black Bear Academy launched a disaster prevention shelter box priced at 1,380 yuan, which caused controversy. Physician Su Yifeng pointed out that the cost of the materials in the box was only about 400 yuan, and there was a lack of medical supplies, criticizing its price as extraordinary. Shen Boyang, the founder of Black Bear, responded, emphasizing that the design of the box focuses on elasticity to add materials and consider the load. But netizens did not pay the bill, criticized it as an IQ tax and satirized this move as earning from both ends. News highlights: Douyin internet celebrity brother Anne's broken thoughts died suddenly in March, and her brother accused brother Anne of domestic violence and killed his sister, and accused him of forcibly breaking into the morning hall to shoot a film. The results of the prosecution's examination pointed out that Anne's sister-in-law died of poisoning by the emerging drug bath salts, which was determined to be an accidental death, with no external force or signs of suicide. However, the family of the deceased suspected that he had been poisoned. Brother Anne recently posted a video of mourning his wife. In addition to the photos and incense burners in the picture, there are also women's clothes on the bed, and the weird atmosphere has caused discussions. The whole incident, the suspicion of domestic violence and the cause of death from drugs continue to burn. News highlights: Taiwan's veteran construction factory Takata Construction announced the complete suspension of 10 construction sites without warning due to the difficulty of capital turnover of its affiliated company Juxing Construction, and all employees stopped attendance at the same time. The affected projects covered Taipei, Dawan, and Hsinchu, with a total contract amount of about 1 billion yuan. The North City and Tao City governments have intervened and coordinated, requiring the builders to continue the works and the contractors to maintain the safety of the construction site. Recently, Taiwan's construction industry has frequently exploded similar risks of unfinished business, which has aroused great concern about the pre-sale housing market.